Dawn had just broken over the Nile, but in the Palace of Thebes, no one could sense the peace of a new day. Carol's trial was less than 2 days away. The entire court was waiting. All of Egypt was waiting. And for the first time, Imhotep began to feel that time was no longer on his side. In the study of the Karnak temple, Menfisu still stood by the window. Imhotep's words from last night still echoed in his mind. Carol could be innocent. Just 4 words. But they were like the first light appearing after many days and nights of darkness. However, Menfisu understood clearly. It might not be true. Without evidence before the trial, even he couldn't stand against the entire court. Menfisu gently closed his eyes. The image of Carol standing in the Great Hall that day flashed through his mind again. Alone, accused by everyone. His hands slowly clenched. At the same time, outside the gates of Thebes, a black horse galloped through a cloud of dust. The rider nearly fell from his saddle from exhaustion. His cloak was tattered, and he was covered in blood and sand. "Urgent!" the guard ordered. "Seize him immediately. I must see Lord Imhotep."
Quickly!
Less than half an hour later, the man knelt before Imhotep. The wound on his shoulder was still bleeding. The old vizier immediately recognized him. This was one of the spies sent to investigate Nabur.
What's happening?
"What happened?" the spy gasped. "Your Excellency, we found Nabur." Imhotep immediately jumped to his feet. "Where?" "It's too late." The spy's voice choked.
It's too late.
"He's dead." The atmosphere in the room instantly froze. Imhotep closed his eyes. He had anticipated this, but his heart still felt heavy. "Continue." The spy took a small leather pouch from his coat. Inside was a gold ring. The ring was engraved with a Babylonian royal emblem. But what shocked Imhotep the most was that inside the ring was another symbol, a black falcon. It was the sign that the border guard had mentioned. "We found it next to Nabur's body." The detective's voice was hoarse. Before he died, who did he meet? No one knows. Imhotep was speechless. But now the pieces were slowly falling together. The messenger was dead. Nabur was dead. The border guard had been assassinated. Someone was erasing all traces. That night, in the West Tower, Carol awoke from a nightmare. Cold sweat soaked her blonde hair. In her dream, she saw Memphis again, standing on the throne. His eyes filled with pain. The sword in his hand was dripping with blood, and she knelt at the foot of the throne, alone, with everyone's back turned. Carol clutched her chest. Her heart ached unbearably. "Menfisu," she whispered his name, but only the wind answered. Outside the window, the Nile flowed silently under the moonlight. Late at night, Imhotep sat alone in the temple. Before him were the Ring of Babylon, the file on Nabur, the testimony of the border guard, and the secret letter bearing Carol's blood. Every piece of the puzzle points in the same direction, but something is still missing. One crucial piece of evidence. Evidence powerful enough to defeat the entire aristocratic faction in the trial. Imhotep looked up at the statue of the god Amun-Ra. For the first time in many years, he felt helpless. If the truth wasn't found in time, an innocent girl would be ruined, a pharaoh would be crushed, and Egypt would lose the most precious thing it possessed. At that very moment, footsteps echoed outside the main hall. Imhotep looked up. A figure was entering. In the torchlight, silver-white hair was revealed. It was Izumin. His complexion was still pale after being poisoned, but his eyes were remarkably calm. Imhotep frowned slightly. Your Highness shouldn't leave your bed. Izumin chuckled softly. If I stay in bed any longer, I'm afraid I won't be able to save someone in time. The atmosphere became somber. Izumin stepped forward to the stone table. His gaze rested on the Babylonian ring. Then he softly said, "If you are looking for the mastermind behind all this, I can give you a name." Imhotep immediately raised his head. For the first time, he saw in the Hittite prince's eyes not rivalry with Menfisu, but a determination to protect Carol no matter the cost. Outside the Karnak temple, a figure was silently hiding behind a row of stone pillars. He had overheard the entire conversation. When Izumin said, "I can give you a name, sir," his expression instantly changed. Then, without a sound, he turned and vanished into the night, carrying with him the most dangerous news since the conspiracy began. And in distant Babylon, Asisu still didn't know that, for the first time, the chessboard she herself had set up was beginning to show cracks. Darkness enveloped the Karnak temple. The flames in the bronze lamps flickered violently in the desert wind. In the secret chamber behind the main hall, Imhotep and Izumin faced each other. The Ring of Babylon lay on the stone table. The tension was suffocating. Imhotep stared directly at Izumin. "Who are you referring to, Your Highness?" Izumin remained silent for a few seconds. His eyes darkened. It wasn't Babylon. It wasn't
That
Hittite.
person is in the
It was
royal
within the
court.
Egyptian court itself. Imhotep's expression changed slightly. He had suspected this for a long time, but hearing someone else say it still sent chills down his spine. Izumin continued. Nabor does not have the power to manipulate all of this. He is just an intermediary. The real person behind it must be someone who can access the military, borders, and secret files. The room fell silent. Suddenly, a face flashed through Imhotep's mind. The governor in charge of the eastern granaries. One of the men who had been relentlessly pushing for Carol's execution. Just then, whoosh! A sharp, cold screech ripped through the air. Izumin instantly turned his head. Danger! He lunged forward, pushing Imhotep to the ground. Thump! A black arrow pierced straight through the window, embedding itself in the stone wall behind it. Just a split second too late, it pierced the old priest's throat. The guards instantly drew their swords. Assassins! Surround the temple! Footsteps echoed throughout Karnak, but the shadow outside the window had vanished. Imhotep rose to his feet. His gaze fell upon the arrow. A small strip of cloth was tied to the bottom. He quickly untied it. His face instantly turned pale. On it was only one inscription: "Stop if you want the pharaoh to live." The entire room fell silent. Even Izumin's expression changed. They were no longer targeting Carol, no longer targeting the witness. Instead, they were targeting Menfisu. Meanwhile, at the Thebes palace, Menfisu had just returned to his study. A soldier rushed up and knelt before him. Urgent! The eastern granary is on fire! Menfisu immediately jumped to his feet.
What?
What? The fire is spreading so fast! The entire population is in panic! Just a few minutes later, the alarm bells rang throughout the city. A blazing red fire illuminated the night sky. But what no one knew was that the fire was just a decoy. While the entire Imperial Guard was focused on the granary, a group of men in black silently infiltrated the palace. Their sole target, Menfisu. They moved with incredible speed. Clearly, someone inside was assisting them. As the group of assassins advanced down the north corridor, a figure suddenly appeared. A silver sword gleamed. Clang! The leader instantly fell. Blood splattered onto the stone floor. Stop them! A shout rang out. In the torchlight, the one who had drawn the sword was not a guard. It was Izumin. Upon discovering the threat, Izumin immediately understood. If they dared send a letter to Imhotep, the attack would certainly be aimed at Menfisu. Despite his unhealed wounds, he mounted his horse and charged straight towards the palace. He arrived just in time. An assassin lunged forward. Izumin spun around and slashed back. The assassin fell to the ground. But at that very moment, another knife struck his shoulder. Thump! Blood instantly stained his cloak. Izumin froze. His breathing became labored. But he remained standing in the hallway, blocking anyone from passing. The study door burst open. Menfisu appeared, his golden sword drawn from its sheath. He immediately took in the scene before him. Izumin was covered in blood. The corpses of assassins lay all around him. In that moment, the two men looked at each other. No longer pharaoh and prince, no longer rivals, but two men protecting the same thing. Menfisu tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword. Are you insane?
Are you insane?
Izumin laughed. A trickle of blood trickled down the corner of his mouth. Perhaps. If you die, who will make Carol cry? In that moment, Menfisu was completely silent. Just as the royal guards arrived, an assassin was captured alive. He had taken poison and was attempting suicide, but Imhotep arrived just then. He immediately shouted, "Hold him!" The soldier subdued the assassin. During the struggle, something fell from his robe. Clang! The gold insignia rolled across the stone floor. Imhotep bent down to pick it up. Then his old eyes widened, for it was not a Babylonian insignia, not a Hittite one, but the personal insignia of an Egyptian high official. It is the governor of the Eastern Granary, the one who has repeatedly demanded Carol's execution, the one who just reported the granary fire tonight, the only one who would benefit if Menfisu dies. In the dungeons of Thebes, the assassin was bound to a stone pillar. He was not dead, and for the first time in weeks, Imhotep believed he was about to reach the ultimate truth. Dawn had not yet broken. The Thebes prison remained shrouded in cold darkness. The assassin was bound tightly to a stone pillar, his body covered in wounds from the previous night's battle. Outside, guards stood densely packed. No one was allowed to approach. No one was allowed to leave, because everyone understood. This man held the final key to the case. Imhotep himself entered the prison cell. Menfisu followed him. And for the first time in many days of recuperation, Izumin was also present. The assassin raised his head. Blood stained the corners of his mouth, but his eyes remained defiant. Imhotep placed the golden insignia of the governor of the Eastern Treasury before him. Confess. The assassin laughed.
I know
nothing. Imhotep did not get angry.
This?
He simply took out the Babylonian ring and placed it beside the insignia. And what about this? The assassin's smile instantly froze. A tiny flicker of unease appeared. But it didn't escape Imhotep's notice. He knew. He had struck a nerve. An hour later, the Great Hall doors burst open. The governor of the Eastern Granary was escorted into the court. He tried to maintain a calm demeanor.
Your Majesty, he said,
I do not understand why I've been arrested. Menfisu didn't answer. He just silently looked down. His gaze was so cold it sent shivers down the spine of anyone who looked at him. Imhotep stepped forward. Let me explain, he said, holding up the gold badge. The vizier's expression immediately changed, but he still managed a forced smile. It could be stolen. Imhotep did not answer. He proceeded to take out the Babylonian ring, then Nabur's file, then the border guard's testimony. Each piece of evidence was placed in the Great Hall. The atmosphere grew increasingly heavy. Sweat began to bead on the vizier's forehead. Just then, the palace doors creaked open. The assassin was brought in. The entire court was shaken. The man's face instantly turned pale upon seeing the prime minister. Then, unexpectedly, he fell to his knees. Spare my life! It's all my fault! A commotion erupted throughout the Great Hall. The assassin trembled, pointing his finger. He had conspired with Nabur. He had killed the secret messenger. He had forged the secret letter. He had ordered the falsification of the queen's bloodstains. The entire hall seemed to explode. The official recoiled, his face deathly pale. You're lying! But it was too late. The assassin cried out, I only followed orders! I'm just a hired hand! Spare me! Imhotep slowly ascended the platform. His voice echoed throughout the Great Hall. The messenger had never delivered a letter from Carol. Nabur had prepared a forgery months in advance. Carol was brought to the center of the hall. Her whole body was stiff. Even her breathing seemed to have stopped. Imhotep continued. Their purpose was to wage war between Egypt, Babylon, and the Hittites, and to eliminate the person who had the greatest influence over the pharaoh. His gaze slowly shifted to Carol. For the first time, there was no doubt. No coldness, only regret. Princess Carol was completely innocent. No one could utter a word. The entire hall fell into absolute silence. Then, a lady-in-waiting burst into tears. This was followed by sobs from the officials. Carol stood motionless, as if unable to believe what she had just heard. All the days she had waited. All the days of pain. Finally, the truth had been revealed. Imhotep slowly advanced. To the astonishment of the entire court, he knelt down and begged the queen for forgiveness. The whole hall fell silent. Carol recoiled in horror. You're a high priest! But Imhotep still bowed his head. His voice trembled. It was I who failed to protect you. It was I who allowed you to suffer injustice. Please forgive this foolish old man. Carol's tears immediately welled up. She quickly knelt down to help him up. Please, don't be like this. At that moment, Imhotep looked at the girl crying before him. And for the first time, a feeling arose in his heart as if he were looking at his own daughter. After the courtiers dispersed, only two remained in the Great Hall, Menfisu and Carol. There was no crowd, no more accusations, no more laws or thrones, just them. Carol stood silently, her tears still wet. Menfisu descended the steps. He stopped in front of her, but remained silent for a long time. He realized that any apology would be too small compared to what Carol had endured. Finally, he just raised his hand slightly. This time, it didn't stop in midair. His hand gently touched the familiar blonde hair. Carol, his voice was hoarse. I made you cry. Just that one sentence, Carol burst into tears. All the pain, all the hurt, all the loneliness of the past few days, it all came crashing down. Menfisu pulled her into his arms. He held her tightly, as if letting go even once more, he would lose her forever. From the high corridor overlooking the main hall, Izuman stood silently in the shadows. He saw it all. He saw Carol finally smile. He saw Menfisu embrace her. A very faint smile appeared at the corner of her lips. Sad, but peaceful. Finally, he whispered softly. She had returned to where she belonged. The wind blew from the Nile, carrying the scent of lotus flowers. Izuman slowly turned his back. For the first time, he no longer felt the urge to abduct Carol from Egypt, because he understood. There are some things that even a lifetime of effort cannot obtain. The traitor was executed. Babylon's conspiracy was exposed. Carol was vindicated before all of Egypt. But in the far north, upon receiving news of the defeat, as Sisu silently crushed the wine glass in her hand. Blood trickled down from her pale fingers. Her cold eyes gazed south.
Carol.
Carol. This time, there was no longer contempt in her voice. Instead, there was a determination even more terrifying than before, because the battle between these two women had only just begun.